because you can't just be doing shit like that, okay? And so he said, you know who's kind of stupid? Nuns. And hello and welcome to another episode of A Ghost in the Magazine. I'm Steph.
And I'm Elle.
And we're gonna cover Immaculate. This is an interesting scenario because the movie just came out. I just watched it 4 days ago, like the instant it was widely available. And Elle and I have not talked about this movie with each other at all. That's never a thing. So I have no idea what she thinks.
Yeah, I was very careful not to say anything. So, how would I describe this movie? Jurassic Park, but for Jesus.
Oh my God. But I fucking love Jurassic Park and I will. Oh, sorry. I have to dedicate myself to saying the F word less in this podcast because my mom confirmed she watches all of our clips.
Oh crap.
And she said she cringes every time she hears me say the F word. And that's how I know that she doesn't actually listen to the whole episode because I say a lot worse than that. Sorry, mommy. That's so accurate. Okay, but like I didn't get Jurassic Park. I can see why it is Jurassic Park, but I immediately started thinking about last year when I saw the jars. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
It was less
fuck.
magic. Yeah. Oh, but I'll need to see this movie. I'll need to see this movie, and then we need to talk about it. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You liked it.
So yeah, I'm gonna start with that. Yeah, I thought it was a good horror movie. It was really good at like building the suspense. It got me with a few of the jump scares. Um,
Yeah.
They did saddle me in the auxiliary old theater that doesn't have a door again, like for the last voyage of the Demeter, and I thought it didn't deserve that. It didn't deserve getting the last voyage of the Demeter theater.
No, it didn't. All I texted you was it was so good because it's hard to it's hard to just say like what kind of movie this is because anytime you get like nuns, and I think that the trailer was very well done because you immediately think demons,
Mhm.
antichrist, you immediately, and you're like, okay, what are they going to do here, what are they going to do? And they go, so did you know that she was a producer on this movie?
Mm-mm.
She's so awesome. Okay. I really love Sydney Sweeney because I mean, like, look at her. Excuse my French. She's a very beautiful, blonde, white girl with huge boobies. Okay. And she was in Euphoria and she plays like, I mean, her character is kind of shitty, so it would be really easy to typecast her, but she's actively fighting against being typecast into that kind of role.
Mm.
And good for her because this was incredible. She was incredible.
The only thing I knew about Sydney Sweeney going in, because I didn't watch Euphoria, was that she's from Spokane
Oh,
and she had a controversy online because her relatives are hogs. And guess what? If you're from Eastern Washington, your relatives are hogs. That is what happens when you live in Eastern Washington. Hogs everywhere.
and Al's awesome. So like
It's
sometimes
not
you
my
just
fault.
having
Yeah.
terrible, terrible family members. I have some too.
Really?
Like, I mean, they're not relatives by blood, but you just can't help that
You can't.
stuff. So yeah, it just be like that sometimes. So I'm gonna just appreciate her. The first thing I ever saw her in was this Amazon Prime movie that is like a horror adjacent movie
Mm.
called Nocturne, and I really liked that. And then I don't know that Euphoria came out after that. It may have not, but I didn't watch Euphoria when it came out. I watched it
Mm.
like after America. That's kind of that's just kind of how I do a lot of things, except for apparently horror movies. Plus, I got Regal Unlimited, so I've been like pounding movies lately, getting my money's worth. So her character's from Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. Okay. And she was in an accident really young, where she fell through some ice and she was dead for several long minutes. And she came back to life and she was convinced that God saved her for a purpose. So she decided to look for it in, like a religious manner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, she became a nun and her parish closed down. And so she went all the way to Italy. Respectfully, I'm not going to Italy for that.
Um,
Anything in Italy, I feel like is haunted.
yeah, respectfully, I am. That's my ultimate like goal is to end up in a haunted building in Italy. That's between this and the fucking Agatha Christie one that we covered a while back. I am
Oh, I know
totally
which one you're
sold
talking about.
on fucking moving to Italy into a haunted building because that is 1,000% my vibe.
I heard that they're really racist to
They
brown people in Italy. I've been hearing it a lot lately. So
well,
I'm like, maybe that's not the dream for me, but maybe another haunted building where I can be absolutely positive that it's just ghosts and not demons or creepy ex-scientist priests.
yeah, I think the creepy ex-scientist priest is the only thing you really have to worry about.
I'm scared of that.
The thing about that's the one part that I will criticize about this movie. That was really half-baked. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. It was funny, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Okay, so the reason why I didn't mind at all. So, well, okay, first let's get into it. They're all psychopaths. Okay, they're very controlling. I feel like maybe it's kind of like that anyway. Um, I think Catholicism is very creepy, and it's definitely something that I'm not into. And I have like a long religious history. It'll never, it'll never be that.
Mhm.
They're just spooky in general. Like watching these ladies pray, and then the red veils and things like that. There's just such creepy undertones, especially when you don't know what's going on yet. And then they whip out the the giant nail that nailed Jesus to the cross. And when that first came up, I was like, is this Stigmata? Which is a crazy movie that we should
Yeah.
definitely cover.
There's a couple interesting things about that. First of all, there was historically it was very common for religious relics to be faked and
Oh
for
yeah.
people to make a little bit of money selling them to different churches. So you don't know that's what that is. First of all, you have no idea. And like I think that
Old?
that is verified when we have the pug dog at the end breathing. But also did you notice when see I was like, okay, so they impregnated her when they did the exam, but she's the only one that handled it with her bare hands. He had gloves, the other nun had gloves. Everyone touched it with gloves except for her. And I thought that was a very interesting thing because the camera focused in on their gloved hands when they were handing it to her. And
Yeah.
she was barehanded. And I was like, are they insinuating that that nail is a dick? And if you touch the dick, you get knocked up. Because I want to know that. That's funnier. I would like the movie better if that's actually the insinuation.
I didn't take any notes for this movie because I've been on hiatus
Mm-hmm.
from recording and using my brain. I've been watching movies for like sheer pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to see this movie again because I just can with Regal Unlimited before it's out of the theater.
Mm-hmm.
But it was almost giving like it's a disease. Like it's a disease. You're gonna catch the holy pregnancy by touching this. And we don't want to do it.
Yeah. That's what
So
it seemed like. It really did. I didn't take a lot of notes, by the way, Steph. I have four, and it's Jurassic Park, but Jesus is the first one. The
yeah.
second one is this weird Tim Curry light science bitch thinks that Jesus is in DNA. And I was
Okay, but okay. Okay, but my favorite thing in the Vampire Chronicles, my favorite book in the Vampire Chronicles, Memnoke the Devil, when Lestat goes back to meet Jesus, and literally Jesus puts his face on the veil and gives it to Lestat, and Lestat brings it back.
Mhm.
And so you know what? Whatever.
I'm just saying, like, if you
Whatever.
actually follow Christianity and you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God or whatever, that is a spiritual thing. I don't think you can DNA clone that shit. You,
Right, but they believe that Jesus was a man who walked on this earth, who
yeah,
bled and who died, and
well,
even if he is a supernatural man, there's still blood and bones.
yeah, but you can have an identical twin that is not the same person as you. You
No,
can
no,
be
no.
genetically the same person and not be the same mental person. So what is it? It doesn't make any sense that you believe that you're going to bring Jesus back by just like having somebody that has the exact same DNA. It doesn't even make sense to me.
I don't even think, okay, the nuns weren't science ladies. So I don't think that this scientist priest, ex-scientist, because he was fired. He was fired because you can't just be doing shit like that. Okay. And so he said, you know who's kind of stupid? Nuns. And, and I'm just gonna listen, I was put on this earth to science Jesus back to life, but that's not what he's actually intending to do. Because I don't think he actually believes he could bring Jesus back. I think he just wants to do what he wants to do.
Mm.
And he's doing it with the permission of silly nuns.
So here's my question too.
Great.
So does the branding mean that you pissed him off? Or does
Yeah.
it mean that you carried one of the pug babies at one point?
Yes. Both.
The second one? Okay, so that old ass nun
Yes,
with
he said that it was like he was doing this to multiple people.
but
I don't
she's like
know why
20 years past her reproductive years.
yes, but he she's a guinea pig. I don't think it really mattered that
But
much.
what I'm saying is, was there somebody before him? He's like, if you kill me, somebody else will step up in my. How deep does this go? What do they think they're doing? Like,
It has to go back a long time. I know that he's choosing the old ladies because they can't go anywhere because they're not
mm-hmm.
fully there anymore. So
Okay.
he can't.
So you think that it's like lashers, like demon semen that can like knock you up whether you're of reproductive age or not? Is that
Yeah.
what we're dealing with? Oh God.
Yeah. He said, I'm gonna explode your uterus, whether you like it or not, because I know it's probably a situation where he's like, I know it's not quite right, so I'm gonna see what happens anyway, and I'll use an old body. Okay. That really seems,
Okay.
and then that girl who they threw off the roof, she apparently was supposed to be next, but then they found this girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were watching her for like forever, which
Yeah.
they were so obvious about that file. Like, come on, sister. She's like, my face is on it. I can see myself. Like, what is
Yeah, and it has her DNA in it. That's where it was like,
it? This movie is so good. Like, I know we're like picking fun because that's what we do,
that's what we have
but
to do.
because if we don't, who will? It has to be done.
Well, also, like, how do you talk about a movie otherwise? If it's just like, oh, that was good. Okay, there's an
Right.
episode. It's not an episode.
It had a lot of silly stuff in it, but it may I say it had stunning visuals through
Mm-hmm.
this entire movie. Okay, um, this is my favorite scene because literally I love how much fire she has inside of her. When the priest looked her in her face and was like, "We do it because we can, and no one's gonna stop us," and she sat back like, "Oh, I'm going to stop you." And she shut the whole house down. She is like the opposite of everything we ever see. Why do they only stab someone one time and then walk away and expect them to be dead? She's in active labor with a monster baby and she kills everybody.
Yeah, that nun scene was gruesome. Like there was
Woo!
some good gore in this.
Yes. Which was surprising. I
Mhm.
wasn't really expecting that.
Me either.
And then this scene right here where she tried to get away and she did an amazing job. She in the beginning it shows like all these Housley duties. Housley. Domestic. Like domestic that they have to do, like butchering and plucking chickens, and she was like sickened by it. Meanwhile, she's pregnant with a monster baby, and she kills a chicken and covers herself in the blood and is screaming so that they think that there is an emergency, and it's on a Saturday when that doctor can't come.
Mhm.
So they're rushing her like out of there in the car, and it's awful because she almost gets away with it. And then they find the chicken because this sick nun was like mouthing her bed sheets, her bloody bed sheets,
Yup.
and calls them. And that scene with her just doused in blood, running. She was running for her pregnant life. She tried. Oh my God, did she try? She put so much. Oof.
I think honestly the scene at the end was the one that like really showed like the screaming that she did. I was like,
Whatever
holy
so long.
shit.
Right. And that made me think of that scene in Midsummer where they're all like screaming together on the
Mhm.
floor. But I'm like, she's giving Florence like a run for her money
Mhm.
when it comes to like and it closes up on her face. And that's another thing that I really like about her because she's pretty. Like she's always like really dolled up. To see her like, you know, face covered in blood. She's pale and pasty, and the camera's close up on her, screaming like she's giving birth to a monster baby.
I think the things like this movie did well, it was visual and it was audio. There was just like a really good atmosphere created. It was very suspenseful. Um I think like despite all the nitpicking that I can do at the premise of it, I think that the way that the story was paced around it was pretty like well done.
Mm-hmm.
I had to pee and I used the Run Pee app, and so
Yeah.
I didn't get to see the suicide, I guess, which it sounds like she was actually
Oh,
pushed. But
that's kind of how it seemed. Because it shows her walking through like the courtyard, and then all of a sudden in the background, it was jarring. You
mm,
see like a robed body fall from the roof and hit the pavement, and they flip her over, and her face is just mangled.
yeah, that's what my brother watched it with me, and he
Okay.
said that the face was like, and I was like,
Oh,
damn it, I can't believe I missed that. But that's the part that it had that explained what had happened.
it was rough. The priest scientist had a lot of like wicked adrenaline because he got set on fire.
Yeah,
And he got hit with a lot of like glass and stuff, and he just kept going. And I felt so exasperated because she's in active
labor, yeah.
labor.
Yeah, as soon as her water broke, she was pretty much in active labor at that point. And like
Yeah.
and that was early.
Mhm.
He had to be taken down by getting stabbed in the neck by Jesus's dick, and that's what I'm going to call it from now on. It's a petrified dick. That's the only way you're getting pregnant from touching it without gloves. It's Jesus's petrified dick, and it makes monster babies.
I didn't say that out loud, Mom. I didn't say
I won't clip this part, but sorry,
it.
Steph's mom, if you see this. But I'm just, I am just reacting. I'm just saying what I see. It's not my fault that they had vulgar ideas. Don't show me a big phallic thing that gets people pregnant if they touch it without gloves. That makes me think it's a dick.
Valid. It's their fault for choosing that imagery, okay? Like, I think it's a valid deduction and unfortunate. deduction.
Yeah,
But
I
that,
could have,
you know,
I,
yeah,
I say I could have done without it, but honestly, like I liked it. I
it's really not a bad premise. You
Mm-mm.
know, it's a little goofy, but you're like, some really serious stuff happened around it. Like, and some seriously good stuff. The chase scene
Mhm.
through the catacombs,
Yeah.
like, you know, that while she's in, I know I keep saying it, but while she's in active labor, and then the cherry on top is that she kills everybody. Spoiler alert! And
Hmm.
she gets out of the thing, and she has to push that thing out and kill it.
Yep, she's out in the middle of nowhere.
So I really love seeing the monster, but if you can't see the monster, I like what they did here,
Mhm.
where you get like the blurred background, but you clearly see the shape of the not correctly colored baby writhing around on the ground. I think in this case, I prefer that. I
Yeah,
don't need to see that.
I don't want to see it. It's all good. I heard it breathing. It sounded like, okay, last night I got out of bed about 4 a.m., went to pee, sitting on the toilet. I hear this awful noise through the door. It's Diego. She's licking her butt at the litter box. That's what that baby sounded like. It sounded like Diego licking her ass next to the litter box.
It was a breath of fresh air for me because, like I said, I've been pounding movies,
Hmm.
and after watching Imaginary, I was like, please give me something that's not mid. Also, stop motion mid for me, like just like not what I'm looking for. And I think because honestly, because of this podcast, I have seen so many movies
Hmm.
that as we go through, what I want and what's entertaining to me shifts all the time. And this is what I was looking for. And so like going into the future of horror movies, especially coming up, I'm the next thing to be excited about is the first Omen, which you know is not a crazy scientist. You know what that's supposed to be. But that being said, there were a bunch of Omen movies in the past. So what are you gonna give me in 2024? And that sounds so like shitty and like pretentious, but like
No, it's just there's so much out there and only finite time. We only have finite time.
I've gotten to a point where not much scares me
Yeah.
at all. So now I'm like, just entertain me, take me for a ride. This movie was good.
Yeah.
I
This
want more of
movie
this.
was, on the better end of the stuff that I've seen in the theater, like way better than Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh yeah.
Um, this
Mhm.
probably hit about where like Evil Dead Rise did for me as far as enjoyment levels. I think I liked them about the same amount where it was like the story is like pretty sound. There's a lot of like imagery and different things that it does right that pulls me in, but it's not the best thing I've ever seen. So
No, I'm. Hmm. And now I'm trying to think what's the best thing that I've ever seen.
I mean, if I'm looking at the ones that I saw in theaters only, Godzilla minus one, hands down, is the best movie I've seen. So it was great all around.
Any horror, I hope she stays in horror. I hope she has a long history in horror. And if she had like any creative input in this movie, like I'm really excited to see whatever she does next in that area.
Yeah. I think honestly, like her future as like a scream queen could be
Mhm.
like really bright. Um, I'd like to see her in more horror movies. I don't know. I haven't seen her in anything else though, so.
Nocturne was good. I didn't really like the Voyeurs because I feel like that they were really trying to like capitalize on her body.
Oh no, The Voyeurs. We watched that one. I guess I have seen her.
Did we?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, we
I
watched
know
this
I
one.
watched it. You covered this?
Yeah, I didn't remember. I guess I didn't
See?
know who she was.
We've literally seen too many movies.
Yeah, I hated this movie. I thought it was dumb.
It was not good. Like that shitty photographer guy.
I don't know. For me, I think it was just like another story about bad people doing bad things. And again, you don't need to tell me a story to convince me that that's a thing that
There's
happens.
more of this.
I'm not super
Like,
interested in those stories though. That kind of shit just gets me on like that negative mind trip, and I just don't need it. It's not entertaining to me. So this
yeah.
movie wasn't like it though. It had a supernatural element to it. I mean, if nothing else, like the fucking Jesus dick pug baby thing at least entertained me.
It was very entertaining. I felt like it was. I felt like like it was like supernatural adjacent
Mm-hmm.
because they explained it away with science, but they used all of those religious people's like fanaticism to
Yeah.
get there. So they believed it was supernatural. And the scientist was like, yeah, okay.
I'm gonna give it 3.5 chuds.
Oh, we have to rate it. I'm
It's
gonna
above
give this.
average.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this. I feel like in my journal I gave it I gave it 4 chuds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 4 chuds.
Yeah. I think that's really fair. I was kind of going back and forth between 3.5 and 4, but I feel like some of the ones that I give 4 to are like ones that I really like. This one I liked. It's just, you know.
I'm quick to give out. I'll give out 5 chuds for stuff I like, and especially I feel like stuff I like that everybody else hated.
That's spite, and I love that.
No, it's a 5 for me. All right, well, you can find this podcast on the interweb at ghostinthemagazine.site or on Twitter at GITM Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at WitchX Pudding.
And you can find me at Nocturnical.
Okay, bye.